Hello, BookTube, and welcome to Poetry Thursday, forlorn little BookTube tradition in which BookTubers pull poems down off the shelf and read them to you in a feeling voice. I'm part of that tradition. I love reading poetry to you, and we've been doing Poetry Thursday pretty regularly for a while. But in addition to that, it's been subsumed in the month of October by Victorian poetry in honor of Victober, a venerated BookTube event in which Victorian literature is celebrated in all its manifestations. And I just fell into the idea of reading Victorian poetry to you on Thursday and every other day. So today we're going to read a great Victorian poem that I was inspired to do by David Wiley. I'll leave a link to David's video down below where he reads from Alfred Lord Tennyson. He reads from the Idylls of the King. And that was all the provocation I needed to read you my favorite Tennyson poem, and what may be my favorite short, standalone, modern English poem of all time, and that is Ulysses. So it's a little bit longer, and it's on a figure that we know. We've done an Odyssey read-along on this channel many times, and many other channels as well. The figure is Ulysses, Odysseus, who has returned home to the planet Ithaca. That he ruled before he went away to Troy for 10 years to fight the war, and then spent 10 years wandering in order to get back home to his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus. And the idea was, and this was an idea that was prevalent even in the ancient world, that he had developed such a taste for wandering that he didn't feel like being a stay-at-home king anymore once he got there. Once he settled affairs in Ithaca, he sort of had a wanderlust to move on. Tennyson loved that idea, and that's where this poem begins. And it's told from Ulysses' point of view. It little profits that an idle king, by this still hearth among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I mete and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times have I enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone, on shore, and when through the scudding drifts the rainy Hyades vex the dim sea. I am become a name, for always roaming with a hungry heart. Much have I seen and known, cities and men and manners and climates, councils and governments, myself not least, but honored of them all. And drunk delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. I am part of all that I have met. Yet all experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untraveled world whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use. As though to breathe were life, life piled on life were all too little, and of one to me little remains. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things. And vile it were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this gray spirit yearning in desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bounds of human thought. This is my son, mine own Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle. Well loved of me, discerning to fulfill this labor, by slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to our household gods. When I am gone, he his work, I mine. There lies the port, the vessel puffs her sail, there gloom the dark, broad seas. My mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine, and opposed free hearts, free foreheads. You and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all. But something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done, not becoming men that strove with gods. The light begins to twinkle from the rocks, the long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, the deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order, smite the sounding furrows, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be that we will touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles, whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides. Though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. I love that. I read it more times than I can count. It's from the Penguin Book of Victorian Verse. And I could analyze it forever, just forever, on all kinds of levels. I love, this time around, I was noticing, you notice, you didn't see it, the orthography on the page, but Tennyson sets apart that little verse about Telemachus. It's not connected with the other two parts of the poem. It's set apart on its own. It's much shorter than either one of them. And I don't know if you noticed when I was reading it, but the rhythm changes. It becomes, that paragraph is chaste, a little bored, a little procedural. It's very much a reflection on the new world, on the world that Telemachus embodies. A world of shopkeepers, timekeepers, middle-level administrators, not people who fought on the windy plains of Troy, not people who knew the great Achilles, not anything who strove with gods. That the poem is meant to signal a generation that is changing, not just that Ulysses is leaving home, but that a whole generation is shifting. Meet adoration of our household gods will become the norm. It will become the thing that responsible statesmen do. And the time when your island would be ruled by a hero with a capital H will be over. I think that's fantastic. It's a line, note that runs throughout most of Tennyson, which was actually first cousin to the line that runs throughout much of Homer, which is that the present is a degradation of the past. The present is less than the past. The past is greater in every way and fading right before our eyes. And mankind, poets especially, seem to mind that attitude no matter when they occur, whether it's Homer or Ariosto. Or Tennyson. So that's our poem for today. A biggie for me, Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. I will resist the urge to read Tennyson for the rest of the month. Instead, we'll pick somebody smaller, shorter, and maybe unknown for next time. But I'm going to, in the meantime, wrap this up. But I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.